Hi everyone, today's video is all about cruising to New Zealand and the things that you can see and do while you're there. I'm going to run through some shore excursions that I've personally done, who I've booked them through, some tips and some free things that you can do. Let's go! To start this tour, let's go from the top and visit the Bay of Islands. In order to visit the Bay of Islands, your cruise ship will dock further out and you will take tenders into port and dock at Paia Wharf. The major highlight of the Bay of Islands is to go to the Waitangi Treaty Grounds. This can be done as a shore excursion, or if you'd like to save about $20 per person, you can access it yourself. It is a solid 30 minutes from where they drop you, and then 30 minutes to come back. At the time, they did have some complimentary shuttle buses running, however, this may cease at any time. The Waitangi Treaty area gives you opportunities for some gorgeous photos, both in the landscape, historical value, and during the cultural performance. Another thing you can do independently from the ship is to take the ferry from Paia Wharf to Russell. This is only 15 minutes in each direction. It costs $13 per adult round trip, and in Russell it's just a quaint little seaside town. It does contain New Zealand's oldest existing church, and it's a great little place to have a pub lunch at the Duke of Marlborough Hotel. For those of you wanting to move further away from where you docked, this is a great shore tour that I took with Princess Cruises directly. It's quite a lot of driving, so be sure to go to the bathroom beforehand, but those of you who'd love to see a glowworm cave, definitely take this tour. And you can't take any pictures inside, so I don't have any to show you, but you also get to visit a kauri forest. Our next port of call is Auckland. You are docked right in the heart of the city at Prince's Wharf, which gives you great, easy access to museums and shopping. One of the highlights of Auckland City is the Sky Tower. You don't have to do this as a shore excursion with a cruise ship, as it's an easy walk from the wharf. To access Sky Tower, for adults it's $32 per person. This is for age 15 years and older. You'll get access to the viewing platform, the main observation level, and the Sky Cafe. Or if you're a bit more daring, you can do the Sky Jump. This is $225 per adult and does have weight and age requirements. It's 11 seconds of adrenaline as you plummet 192 meters at around 85 kilometers per hour. Or if you're after something a little bit lighter, still with a little bit of adrenaline, they do have the Skywalk, which is $150. For those wanting to escape the city feel of Auckland, you can take a quick 12-minute ferry over to Devonport. It doesn't need to be pre-booked and easy access from Auckland Harbour right next to where the cruise pulls in. It costs $15 return for an adult. You can stroll the beaches, the quaint cafes and shops, visit Torpedo Bay Navy Museum, or go up Mount Victoria Lookout. Our next port of call is Tauranga. This is my favourite port for several reasons, but the main one is Hobbiton. So who should go and see Hobbiton? Definitely any fan of Lord of the Rings or the Hobbit films. It is a must-see for you. Plus anyone who's a fan of gardening. The grounds are pristine and they are beautiful to look at and take lots of great pictures of flowers. And who can you book it with? Book it either with the cruise line directly or independently. I've done it both ways, and anyone who is new to cruising, definitely go with the cruise ship. It'll just give you peace of mind and you won't be as worried. But anybody who has been to this port regularly certainly can try booking it independently. I've popped the company I booked it through on the screen for your reference. They did a side trip to McLaren Falls where you could dress up as a Lord of the Rings character and get some pictures. Unfortunately, it was raining when I did it, so they didn't permit this, so just remember, weather permitting. If booking your tour independently, be sure to check how long you'll be in port for and match it up to the tour time to ensure you've got a bit of a buffer to either side. It's 45 minutes minimum in each direction, so ensure you have ample time in case of a traffic jam. Once you arrive at the Hobbiton set, you'll check into your tour group and be escorted down into the set on the green buses. Now, this isn't an area where you can just rock up and join any tour group or be free to wander around. You have to be on a tour group. It is a privately owned farm, so definitely pre-book your tour, just because 99.9% of the time they are sold out in advance, so be sure to get in early. Once you're down there, you'll have a 2-hour tour all around the movie set, and you will end at the Green Dragon Inn. At the Green Dragon Inn, you can purchase an ale or a muffin, and the muffins are very lovely. There is also a gift shop, and you can explore that just before you get on the bus or just after you finish your tour and get back off the bus. I recommend doing it at the end. Something you can do for free at this port is to climb Mount Manganui. It's a very short stroll from where you actually dock with the cruise ship, so very handy and very close. It rises about 232 metres from the sea, and on their own council website it does say that it is suitable for strollers and wheelchairs, but obviously please take care. Also, if you're not planning to do any shore excursions in the port of Tauranga, there is nearby local quaint shops. There's a lovely honey shop there as well, which I always like to have a look in. It's easy walking distance, and it's easy walking distance to the beach as well if you just want to have a relaxing day. Our next port of call is the city of Napier. Napier is known as the 1920s Art Deco city in New Zealand. They really embrace this, and a lot of people do dress up, and especially if there is a cruise ship in. On Princess and also Celebrity, just because I've been on those particular ships, they will take you from the port on a bus and drop you at Napier's eyesight. Eyesight is just the wording that New Zealanders use for all of their information centres. If you'd like to take a trip further than the eyesight, the bus drivers should be able to drop you at the National Aquarium of New Zealand a little bit further down the road, and this is where I got off and did my own independent shore excursion. I wanted to visit this particular aquarium because it is the National Aquarium of New Zealand. As you can see, they have some feeding times. They also have the opportunity to find Dory and Nemo while you're there. I went purposely there to do the feeding encounter with the little penguins. They're called fairy penguins in Australia, but little penguins in New Zealand. You'll be out the back where they'll tell you what they do in their day. You'll also get to touch one of them, and then you get to go out into the enclosure and feed them. There will be people looking on, but you'll be in the enclosure feeding them. It is strongly recommended that you book this ahead of time if you are planning on doing it, because they more than likely will sell out, and it is good to know when you do need to get off the ship and make your way there. I just got off as soon as possible. Another thing you can do, and you must book this through cruise ships because it does get full, and they've actually noted on their very own website, you have to book it through the cruise because it's just going to be full. It's called the Hawke's Bay Express. It's actually a custom tour vehicle. It's got velvet covered cushioned seats inside and wood paneling, and it's all about transporting you back to that Art Deco period. They do a great tour of the city. They discuss the Napier earthquake, the lifestyle and the economy of the city, and it's just overall very, very enjoyable. Welcome to windy Wellington, the capital of New Zealand. Let's start with the port area. If you're on a small ship, you'll be docked at Queen's Wharf, but if you're on the larger ships like Princess or Celebrity, it'll be Aotea Wharf. A great thing about visiting Wellington is you can visit Lord of the Rings filming locations on some tours. So you can either book this through the cruise ship or do one independently. I booked mine through Rover Rings Tours. I have done it both with a cruise ship and independently. Both of these tours, I did get to visit the filming locations on Mount Victoria and also got to visit the Wellington Cable Workshop. And just popping on the screen now, some photos I took while on tour. The Wellington Workshop tour is an area that's been made out so that fans can see all the different props, costumes, miniatures that have been used in all of the films that Wellington has been a part of. So anything from King Kong to The Lord of the Rings to The Hobbit. All of this area, you cannot take any photos. I've taken some images outside of it where you can take a picture with Gandalf as a statue. And once you finish that tour, you'll be taken to the Weta shop and museum. That's where you can get the pictures of the trolls from The Hobbit. The tour I took with Rover Rings Tours, I chose the full day tour. You got lunch included in that, but you also got to end at the Rivendell film set. It's partially being built outside Wellington where it originally was, and they do allow you to dress up in props and take some really cool pictures. Now moving on to two different easy access things that you can walk to from when you're in dock. Firstly, the Museum of New Zealand. Museum of New Zealand is actually free entry for everyone, except for sometimes they will have an additional charge for some short-term exhibitions and activities, and it's open every day from 10 till 6. The next easy access is the Wellington Cable Car. You can take the cable car up to the Botanical Gardens, and there's quite a few other things that you can have easy access to, and it's a $9 per adult return. Our next port of call is Akaroa. This is a tender port only, and it's a gateway to Christchurch. Christchurch is a good hour and a half to 2 hours away. In the future, it does look like a lot of ships will get to dock at a place called Littleton, which is only about 20 minutes to Christchurch. But for now, Akaroa is your gateway there. A shore excursion you can take with the cruise ship is called the Southern Alps Experience, also known as the Transalpine Railway. It's a very, very long day, so just be aware anyone who has motion sickness or isn't up to a lot of travel, steer clear of this one. First of all, coming from Akaroa, if it's docked there, then you need to get a coach to Arthur's Pass. It's about 3.5 to 4 hours before you physically get on the railway portion. If it's from Littleton in the future, that coach will be about 2 to 2.5 hours to reach Arthur's Pass. You then board the railway. It'll be stunning, gorgeous, amazing views and scenery, plenty of pictures to be taken. Once you return to the end point of the railway journey, you'll then take a coach. Either if it's back to Littleton, it might be about 30 to 45 minutes. If it's back to Akaroa, it's another hour and a half to 2 hours, so you can see just how long your journey is going to be for the entire day. In terms of a review of this excursion, it's got stunning scenery, so anyone who likes or appreciates scenery or certainly enjoys railway journeys, you will enjoy it. However, my disappointment factor would have been that on the coach you see lots of scenery, obviously, driving up to meet the railway, but once you're on it, you are seeing the same scenery on the way back, so that was just a bit disappointing. If you're staying in Akaroa, do not worry, you'll be able to walk along the quaint streets as you explore the shops and embrace the locals. You'll be able to try some fish and chips. There is a beach there, however it is extremely pebbly, so definitely bring some slipper shoes with you. There's usually some locals offering some tours there as well, such as a trike tour, subject to payment. Welcome to Dunedin, the Scottish-inspired city of New Zealand. In order to access the centre of town, which is known as the Octagon, if you're not doing a shore tour, you'll need to purchase a return coach ticket. These are sold once you get off the ship at Port Chalmers. Diving right into the shore excursions, our first one we're going to discuss is the Teary Gorge by train and Lynette Castle. The Teary Gorge Railway journey, I actually enjoyed this train journey a bit more than the previous one. I just found the scenery to be a bit more dramatic for my liking, but again, just personal opinion. You can choose to combine this with a visit to the Dunedin railway station. You can also make your own way there if you're not doing a shore excursion. But the one that just goes directly to Lynette Castle after the train journey, you won't see the Dunedin railway station, so remember to go back there and take a look at it. If you continue on to Lynette Castle, it's New Zealand's only castle, and you get to explore the amazing residence and lavish gardens that it encompasses. Keep in mind also, if you're not interested in the train portion, perhaps it's a bit out of your budget, if you still want to see Lynette Castle, they do have it on its own. As mentioned earlier, Dunedin is a very walkable city. When you're dropped off at the Octagon, there's always been markets there, about 8 to 10, not very big, but enough to be able to chat to the locals and maybe purchase some local items. You can head to the Scottish shop, you can head to the railway station to check that out. There's also nearby Speight's Brewery. If you're doing that independently, be sure to purchase your ticket way ahead of time. It will sell out because it can be purchased as a shore excursion with the cruise ship as well. Welcome to Fiordland National Park, the bottom left-hand side of the map of New Zealand. This is all scenic cruising. They'll do mainly 3 sounds: Milford, Doubtful and Dusky. On occasion you will find you may not get into all 3 if you do have extremely foggy weather. I have had that happen to me, but 9 times out of 10 you will get into all 3. If you do get what's perceived as bad weather, you'll actually enjoy it by all means, because you'll actually find that the waterfalls are flowing. They look quite amazing when they're just free flowing down into the water. And in terms of viewing, if you have a balcony, terrific. If not, then you can head up to the top floors, which you would have seen in my pictures here, just to show you how people view them if they don't have balconies. And if you do get that beautiful clear day, you will get some great shots of the crystal clear waters. And now some general tips and rules for booking your own shore excursion. So with my first rule, it's to ensure you have enough time to either side of your arrival and departure time from the pier in case of any delays. So for example, if you were going to Auckland and the tour you want to book is at 10 a.m, but you're going to arrive at 9:30, don't book this tour. It's far too close. Sometimes it can take them half an hour just to set up from the moment that they dock. They need to get the bridge into place, get security, etc. So just be sure that you allow, I would say a minimum an hour, but if you can stretch it out to maybe 2 hours, terrific. My second rule is to do with tender ports. This is somewhere like the Bay of Islands or Akaroa, where the ship can't dock and they need to use tenders in order to bring people in. There's 2 reasons I would never book an independent tour when it comes to tender ports. The first one is that it's weather permitting. So if the weather is bad, they're not going to be able to get people off onto those tenders, and sometimes not even be able to get them back if they've let them off earlier. So if there's bad weather, you're not going to get off that ship on time, and I'd say the longest I've waited to get off would be about 4 hours, so it can be quite a lengthy process. But the second reason is that cruise ship, the people who have bought their excursions directly with them have priority over you. If you rock up and they're filling those tenders with people who have booked their shore excursions with the cruise line, they have priority. You become secondary only because they need to get those people off to enjoy their shore excursion. So I would never, based on these factors, ever book an independent tour when it comes to a tender port. And just 2 tips for those booking independent tours. There's no harm in asking the company you've booked with if you don't dock that day, because it can occur in extreme circumstances. Ask them if they will refund you if you don't get to dock that day. And also if they guarantee to get you back to the ship on time. If they're running late, will they get you to the next port of call? All they can do is say no, but you will find the odd company will actually guarantee it and get you to that following port. It's always a good thing to ask. And lastly, make sure you have travel insurance with cruise cover for any cruises you plan on taking in the future. Thank you so much for joining me, and have a great day.